So this is Amanda Roberts from the Garden House Hospice, and she's come in to talk to us about the new frailty unit.
Brilliant, thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's lovely to come and meet you all this morning and to have the opportunity to share with you some of the new things we are doing in our new frailty service. So I'm just going to talk a bit about the frailty service and what it consists of and who it's for. So, Garden House Hospice has always drawn on the philosophy of care from Dame Cicely Saunders. I don't know if any of you recognise that name. Yes, there's some nods around the place. So Dame Cicely Saunders started the first modern hospice, St Christopher's, in London in 1967. And St Christopher's is still there and is still providing excellent care to the people in those surroundings. And she's got an interesting story because she started off studying at Oxford University, and the Second World War happened and she thought, I'm not doing the right thing with my life. So she became a nurse and she really learned about different ways of supporting people who were at the end of their life. But nobody would take any notice of her because she was just a nurse. And the doctors, they knew everything. So she retrained as a social worker and a doctor, and then she got her ideas put into practice. So an amazing woman. One of the things that was really important to her was keeping the patient at the centre of what we do. And she explained it like this. She said, you matter because you are you. You matter to the last moment of your life. And we will do all we can to help you, not only to die peacefully, but also to live until you die. And that living until you die is really what we are about at Garden House Hospice. Yes, we see people who come to us to end their life, but we also see a lot of people who come to us to get help and support to continue to live well wherever they are on life's journey. So our frailty service is our next chapter really in that story. And it's a chapter which we are piloting. It started in January 2024, so just a couple of months ago, and the pilot ends at the end of this month. And the idea of the frailty service is to extend some of the work we do anyway. So when the hospice first opened, it had 6 beds, and we served a very small catchment area. We now serve an area of 260,000 people. Now that's not to say we see all of those, but our area spreads across all of those people. And what we have taken on as our service has also developed hugely. So within the hospice, we offer rehab and well-being, so people help people to keep going, keep their bodies going, keep their minds going. We offer services where people come together, like you are today, to have coffee and a chat. Our well-being hubs, which happen every week, and we also do seated exercise. Keep your body going, keep your mind going again. We also have a schools project where children come and learn about what the hospice does. Many people are frightened of the word hospice. It sounds like you go there to die. Well, some people do. But many, many people go there to learn to live better with whatever they are living with at that point in their life. And talking to children about that is very, very helpful because they can then spread that word and the generations will grow up thinking differently. We also provide an awful lot of services for people in their own home. So we have hospice at home nurses who go out and help people who don't want to come to us or to go into hospital. We have frailty nurses, and we'll come on to that in a minute. We have the Compassionate Neighbours scheme, I don't know if any of you have heard of that. It's quite, yes, there's nods. People mostly have heard of that. So the Compassionate Neighbours scheme is where a person is matched with another person, so you've got a kind of friend, and they come and visit you for an hour a week in your own home for a chat, really. Just for that, just to keep you connected to somebody new and somebody different at a time when sometimes our friends kind of drift away for whatever reason, or we're not able to get out as much. So that's another one of our services, and so on and so forth. So an awful lot of different services being offered there. So frailty is the new one. So what do we mean by frailty? Well, we mean many people, as they age, are suffering from a number of different health conditions. So that might be diabetes, it might be heart disease, it might be dementia. And as we age, sometimes those different diseases pile up upon one another. So you don't just get one, you get this and this and this and this. And you will, I'm sure, have had experience of that with those that you know. As those things pile up, they tend to have an effect on our overall health. So they tend to cause a kind of decline in our general health. So people with frailty may get something, recover from it, but they won't go back to their previous level of fitness. And then they'll get something else, and they'll get over that, but again they won't get back to their previous level of fitness. And the options for those people often come down to the GP or hospital. Now, those are fantastic options. GPs do an amazing job in very difficult circumstances, as do hospitals. And sometimes hospital is absolutely the right place to be. If you fall over and break your hip, you want to be in hospital. But sometimes frail people, like my mum, I would say my mum was a person who suffered with frailty. Frail people are taken to hospital when actually they don't need to go to hospital. What they need is some support in their own home. Or they might need to go to hospital to be diagnosed, but then they need a different kind of service. So that is what we as a hospice are trying to do, is to develop that different kind of service which can help people to have another choice. So GP, hospital, and now, we hope, hospice. So, the plan is to enable people to make that personal choice that Cicely Saunders was talking about. So, you matter because you are you. You're a unique human being. There is only one of you. And you have preferences, you have thoughts, you have feelings, you have desires, however old you are. And we are trying to make sure that those things are taken into account when dealing with galloping frailty in some cases. So we want people to have more control over their own care. We want people to have an alternative to GPs and the hospital. We want people to become known to us earlier. For many people, as I said before, hospice is a scary word. We're not a scary place. Many people come to us and leave. The average stay in the hospice is 2 weeks. And that's not because people die. They don't die, or some do, but they don't all die. Most of them go home because they have had some support, they've had a review of their medication, they've had all the things which enable them to go back to living their life at home. So we want to meet those people earlier in their journey so that we're not frightening, and when they need us, they come back to us. And we want to fill a gap in the National Health Service. Many of you may have seen in the news or may experience they are really struggling. We're really struggling to provide the sort of care which those professionals want to provide. There's no doubt about that. But we're going to try and help by providing some additional care which people can tap into. So, we've been going since January. We have 5 prongs really to our new service. The first is that we are visiting the Lister. So we have a nurse from the hospice who goes to Lister A&E every day, and she works with the consultants there to identify people who might benefit from coming to us or from being discharged into the community, otherwise going home, but with our support. So there's a joint decision-making process that goes on there. Some people, it's absolutely necessary to stay in hospital. Others, with some hospital care, can then move on to us. So that's the first thing that we're doing. The second thing that we're doing is that we are looking to expand the care which we can offer in the community. So we already have physiotherapists, occupational therapists, frailty nurses going out into people's homes, but we're looking to expand that service so that more people can benefit from it. Thirdly, we are opening more beds. So we're in the process of opening some beds within the hospice which will be devoted to people with frailty. So not just people at the end of their lives, who we still seek to serve. We still seek to serve those people, but additional beds for those who are not at the end of their life, but are suffering from the ravages of frailty. We are also seeking to expand our Compassionate Neighbours hubs. So the Compassionate Neighbours programme has 2 sides to it. One is the one-to-one matching, where people go and visit someone for an hour a week. Another side to it is our weekly hubs, where people come and have coffee, tea, exercise, play games, socialise with one another, generally have a nice time, once a week for a couple of hours. We want to expand those. And there's 2 reasons for that. Firstly, it allows us to meet people who we can then offer our services to. Because sometimes people don't know about us and we don't know about them. And there's a match that could be made there, but we don't know. So we need to meet more people who may want to tap into what we offer. And secondly, that socialising is so important for keeping us all well, isn't it? Actually being together and having a cup of tea and marvellous cake here is really, really important for our well-being. So there are 2 prongs to that one. Lastly, we are hoping to expand our what is called ambulatory care, which is a strange name, but basically it means we're hoping to expand our ability to see people walk in, ambulatory, so walk into us, have things like a blood transfusion or IV antibiotics, and then go home again. So there are many, many different ways in which we are trying to work alongside our NHS colleagues to tackle the frailty which is becoming the health issue of the world, really. There's an awful lot of research which says frailty is going to become more and more prevalent as the demographic goes up. So we're all living longer, but we're not necessarily living well. So we need to look at that and try and find ways to support people to live well. Now, clearly all of this costs a lot of money. So the first 3 months of the frailty service have cost £300,000. And all of that money has been raised by public donation. None of it has come from the NHS because they haven't got enough money anyway. So it's come from public donation. So one of the issues we face is, how are we going to continue to fund this? And there's no easy answer to that. One way is that we are looking at the impact of our work. So we're doing an awful lot of analysis, assessment of how good this has been really, where have been the good bits, where have been the faults, and we're reporting on that publicly, so that people who give money, the government and others, can see us as a service they would want to fund. There is no guarantee that that will happen, but that is what we are seeking, to become a funded service. Within the hospice, we also have to spend money on all those other things I was talking about. So the last thing I want to share really is how grateful we are to our volunteers. We have over 800 volunteers who work with us on a weekly basis. Over 800 people are doing something to enable us to raise funds or to make life better for people. So some of those people are compassionate neighbours, some of them are helping us at fundraising events, some are helping within the hospice in an administrative type of role, or helping with the gardens, or helping in our shops, or helping with our schools project, and doing numerous other things. That many are down at our depot, where all the donations go. They're sorting clothes, they're processing things so that we can sell them. We absolutely could not work without our volunteers. So I like everywhere I go to say a big public thank you to those people. You may know people who volunteer for the hospice, you may be or have been a volunteer yourself, but without people like you and those you know, we could not operate.
I'd just like to say I've got some friends and they go there and do the laundry.
I forgot that one, thank you so much. The laundry is a new volunteering role. It's a new volunteering role, and it is absolutely crucial because we're trying to turn the beds over more quickly. Because people are coming for a short amount of time, they're going home. All of those things have a knock-on things like beds and the kitchen. You know, lots and lots of knock-on effects of what we're trying to do. And the laundry service, we are absolutely indebted to our volunteers. Absolutely. It allows us to bring people out of hospital.
If you're doing it experimental for 3 months,
Yes.
what's happening after the 3 months?
Well, we are hoping to continue. That is dependent on money. So we have been asked to provide numerous reports, is the best way to put it, on what we're doing, and then to see if that actually generates some funding. The future is unknown, I have to say. I can't promise you that it's a service that will continue. We could have done it the other way round. We could have thought, well, this would be a good idea. Let's try and raise the money, and then let's try it. But our CEO, Lisa Hunt, is very keen on helping people now. And sometimes if you wait to get the permissions to raise the money to do this, you're 2 years down the line and nothing's happened. So this is a risky strategy, but it's one which we feel, it's a road we felt we had to go down.
You've got a lot of people
Loads.
actually doing helping.
We've got a lot of people coming to the service and we've got a lot of people helping, yes. We are still recruiting for some nurses. It's a difficult recruitment environment at the moment, but we do have an awful lot of new staff who we've recruited to support the service, and we have volunteers who are helping us. We always need more volunteers, and I don't like to make it a sales pitch, but we do. So if anyone has any inclination to join us and volunteer for an hour a week, that is absolutely fantastic. If anybody knows anyone, I mean, a member of the family who would be happy to come and help us, please do pass the information on. What we like to think is that our volunteers gain a lot from it, and they tell us that. They tell us that you know, it's a reciprocal thing. They're giving, but they're gaining as well. So I don't mind selling it a bit. Well, thank you so much for your attention and your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Amanda, for coming.